Hi, my name is Trevor Kuhn. I'm making this video because starting a YouTube channel. I'll probably also be on, you know, uh, Rumble and some other platforms and whatnot, so we can have the full content in case anything on the channel ever, is against YouTube's terms of service or against their censorship or anything like that. We want to have platforms that we're able to upload to that don't have those limitations. But in general, the synopsis kind of what I wanted to do with this channel was just make it a landing pad for people to get into different topics and different points of conversation. Obviously, I stay informed. I have a lot of alternative news sources that I'm active with, that obviously I'll be discussing in videos and things like that. Mostly, it'll probably be like either short form. I'm into cryptids and paranormal stuff too. One-off stories or little things that I've dug into, done research into, or even things like concepts. I'm a big fan of Dr. Jordan Peterson. Um, the whole intellectual dark web and everything that came about, 4 or 5 years ago. That really, with the Weinstein brothers and all of that. I've seen probably hundreds of hours of long form conversation with all of those different intellectuals, both on the liberal and on the conservative side of the aisle. I have my critiques and criticisms of everyone, but I am largely against the corporate media, Fox, CNN, MSNBC. They're all there's too much money behind what they're doing for them to ever truly be honest. There's a few people, Tucker Carlson, I'll say, that aren't as timid with the truth, but still they're all held back by corporate sponsorship, and that's really when the news that needs to be reported involves corporate interests, they're never going to report it accurately. So, but beyond that, I'm also married. I have 2 children, so I'm a father. I am a Christian. I'm a man of faith. So, I'll also be talking about that, and the joys and the difficulties of doing that in today's society and life. And I do plan on having guests on the channel. Especially with the long form conversation. I'm just not gonna sit and talk to myself at a camera for hours and hours on end. And if I'm doing an explanatory video where it is just me, I'm probably going to be working on including like some graphics and some different content like that. Of course, anything that I bring up that's going to be, of course, questioned, I'm going to do my best to link sources and research material that I used in the descriptions of all the videos. So I want to be as up and up with that. And if something's my opinion, I want to tell you it's my opinion. And if it's a questionable fact, I will leave it up to your discernment and give my opinion on it. And that's in all cases, whether I'm telling a ghost story or whether I'm discussing current political movement. The context is the same. I will give you my opinion. The facts are up to your discretion, and I'll provide you with the same material I use to reach my conclusion and allow you to reach your own. Which is how I think things should be presented, and which is why I love things like Joe Rogan and like Brett Weinstein's shows and information, and Eric Weinstein, and I love the Rubin Report. I love Dave Rubin. And I will be straight up honest. Alex Jones is a national treasure, even if 30% of what he says is absolute horse shit. the 70% that he gets right is massive, and nobody else talks about it. So, he's a national treasure in my opinion, and I think one day, you know, decades from now, we will be looking at Alex Jones, Julian Assange, and Edward Snowden, all within the same tier of individuals who are bringing us information that that we the public would not have been privy to otherwise. And that's another thing that I do want to discuss on the channel too, because I am a Christian, but when I was younger, I was extremely fascinated with esoteric subjects. I studied religion in general. I was a religious studies and an English major when I was in college, and I was just fascinated by anything that would give a person so much meaning that they would be willing to die for it. If there was anything that was you were willing to shed your mortal coil to defend or to advocate for, that has to be something phenomenally intense. I want to know what it is and why you feel that way. So I've always been extremely curious about religion and spirituality, and I was spiritual long before I was saved as a Christian. March 3rd of 2006, March 13th of 2016. However, you know, spirituality has always fascinated me. I've had many paranormal experiences myself, some of which I may share on this channel as well. And I really just would like to create a community, you know, with this channel and any associated endeavors that I might undertake with it, newsletters or anything like that. Just to have a collective of free thinkers of any vertical. I myself am a libertarian, you know, but classical liberal. Far left, far right. If speech can be contained and civil, I still want to understand perspectives. You know, or just straight up, you know, household moderate Republicans or Democrats don't know what the hell is going on anymore, and just want things to make sense again, like it did in the '90s. You know, every perspective is valid, because every life is valid and is important, and therefore their viewpoints are too. And the only way that we ever learn anything about other human beings is to talk to them about it. You can observe them and you can hypothesize, but most of what you're going to learn about a human being is going to come from them directly stating their experience. It's the reason why our court system is set up with you know, a witness system in place to prove or validate crimes. Our whole culture, storytelling, is the way that we pass down myths and you know, values throughout generations. And I'm also a big fan of myth and legend. I had a religious studies teacher who said that a myth is a truth that points beyond itself to a greater truth. So there's a story, there's a moral within the myth, sure, but there's an element of humanity instilled in a lot of those tales, and people like Joseph Campbell, you know, the hero's journey, talk about those kind of cycles, and then Dr. Peterson references that the hero cycle with a lot of his discussions as well. So really, I want to find people to interview and to have conversations with. I do know people, I have friends that I think would make good conversation to post on a channel for people to actually enjoy his content and get something out of. But I also want to find people either online or in person that have had either paranormal experiences or that have had experience in politics or with you know, the judicial system or anything like that, or that have old wives' tales from their grandmother who was a wise woman who used to could speak fire or talk a word away. Just any interesting thing like that. I'm also crazy into tabletop. If I get a session going that I haven't played since the pandemic, but if I get a D&D or a Vampire the Masquerade game going or something like that, I'd love to live stream it. Maybe link it to this channel or post it as a twin channel or something like that. But yeah, I'm also into music of all sorts. Everything from symphonic black metal to you know uh, early two-tone ska and country and western music from the 60s and 70s. And I'm all over the place with that, with movies. um I enjoy all kinds of movies, comedies, fantasy movies. I'm an avid book reader as well, mostly nonfiction these days, but when I was younger, The Lord of the Rings. I remember The Hobbit was the first substantial book that I ever, was taking home with me from school, in like third or fourth grade, and like really getting a lot out of. Um, so yeah, it just there's a pantheon of interests and different uh, verticals that I would like to discuss and learn about in the process of creating this content, and maybe take other people on a journey of learning and understanding and start conversations. If there's if there's something that's more complex than a 3 hour conversation can nibble away at or really get to, that opens up to a broader conversation, because those are the kind of topics that really need our weight behind us as a society. Um, in a time where everything that was formerly so concrete is so shaken up and everything is upside down, the party lines seem to have switched. The entire geopolitical landscape is a nightmare. We have an insane amount of influences on us. I don't think any of them are positive, both domestic and foreign. I don't think any of them really want our good. And that's a hard spot to be in. And we're in a position where worldwide, we doubt our leadership. We doubt the validity of what we're being told. We doubt if we are truly free and safe in our society. And it's time to start discussing in a world where we're more connected now than we ever have been, and so many people are working from home and engaging in content they haven't had time to before. That we start having these conversations, that we start asking these questions, and then we start getting enough people involved that eventually these conversations spread to the level that they're of local importance. And once they're of local importance, they become of regional importance. And once they're of regional importance, they're suddenly of national importance. And tides start turning, swamps start draining, hope starts getting restored. We have a few fighters in our democracy that still remain. They need reinforcements. And we have 2 election cycles coming up that are going to be pivotal in the direction of this country. Again, my opinions, the facts you can discern for yourself. But I think anyone with intelligence knows that the landscape politically that we see in this country is one that multiple generations have never seen before. The level of division, the level of economic uncertainty worldwide, not nationally, worldwide. We're not talking about a 30s style depression that we might be looking at. We're talking about a global economic recession that people like the Davos Group and Klaus Schwab, George Soros, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, all of these people would love to capitalize on. When the dollar falls, when debt soars, when all private assets are bought up for pennies on the dollar, and then the world as we know it completely changes. For nothing but imaginary currency backed by an imaginary standard that was set by global banking interests that took over their Federal Reserve in the early 1900s. Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the Davos Group, I mean, all of these things also will be discussed on this channel. Again, my opinions on them, links to my research material, and I'm also going to be pointing a lot of fingers at people that I think you should be watching as well, because I'm active, I have a channel, I have content, but I'm also constantly exploring other people's content. I've already mentioned some, obviously Alex Jones, watch him with a grain of salt. Know that he's high strung, he's a little dramatic, but he finds legitimate information. Dave Rubin, the Rubin Report. I love seeing his evolution because I had a very, very similar one. I was a Bernie bro when I was, in my early 20s. I definitely saw that as the movement that made the most sense. And as I've grown older, I realized that personal freedoms and local government are far more important, and taking a handout from anyone does nothing but indebt you to them. But that took time. And there was an evolution. You can see Dave Rubin's evolution clearly on his channel. He hides none of it. Start with his first interview with Larry Elder and go from there. It's astonishing. It's amazing. He owns it. He has a wonderful voice and is very inspirational for someone like me who also left the left side of things. And I didn't go far into the right. I just found myself very much in the center and wanting everyone to leave me alone. That'll be discussed too. I have, personal experiences in all spectrums: spiritual, religious, political, marital. I've had my journeys and my issues with, substance abuse and the ghosts that haunt you with addiction. Russell Brand, another voice that I would point to, left-leaning but open, has good conversation, wants to talk about the truth, wants to talk about real things. Wim Hof, I love the Iceman. I do the cold shower routine and everything. Helps with my anxiety and depression. Mental health is another thing that definitely will be discussed openly. Just want to create a safe space to have open conversation, state your opinion, and not be attacked, but to be understood and spoken to like a person. I really miss the days of debate teams that could civilly have a conversation without it spiraling into gaslighting and race baiting and just degeneracy on both sides of any perspective. And I want to see change in that. And so I've consumed enough content. I feel that I have a place that I can start creating some content that's of valid interest. And I hope you guys stick around to see how this channel grows and progresses. And stay safe and God bless.